I'll be taking up geography questions. So let's start. Some general points in geography which you should know. सबसे पहले तो sources. Two important things which you should never miss while giving your exams. First is NCERT class 11th and 12th, and second is GC Leong. Geography के लिए. If you don't have the optional, तब optional वालों की अलग books हैं. Everybody for preparing for GS Geography must refer to these two books. NCERT class 11th, 12th and GC Leong. Extremely good books, extremely lucidly written books. Each and every question ever asked in geography will be available. The answer to that question will be available in these books. Number one. Number two. Many questions in geography are of contemporary nature, meaning that they are related to something like environmental changes, climate change, conferences, Paris conference वगैरह. For that, obviously no book can provide you the answer. For that you have to be abreast with the current issues. ठीक है? So there is no substitute for that. Keep on referring to the newspaper. The Hindu covers environment in quite detail. The Hindu, ठीक है? जैसे changes in deltas, mangrove forest के changes, changes in agricultural patterns, all those things. Again, they are not there in any book. Obviously because that is a dynamic part. वो किसी किताब में cover नहीं होता है. For that, keep on referring to the newspaper. Please make sure that you are referring only to the relevant things. ऐसा नहीं है कि आप एक नॉन रेलिवेंट थिंग, फॉर एग्जाम्पल आर्कटिक ऑसिलेशन कोई एक फिनोमिना है, आप उसके ऊपर लेके बैठ गए, उसके ऊपर आप रिसर्च कर रहे हो. नो, इट इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड. कीप योर सेल्फ कंस्ट्रेंट टू समथिंग विच इज डायरेक्टली इंपैक्टिंग यू. बाय यू आई मीन इंडिया और साउथ एशिया. इन सब चीजों के ऊपर ही ध्यान रखना न्यूज़पेपर जो भी न्यूज आती है. ठीक है? अदरवाइज इट इज क्वाइट वास्ट, नहीं हो पाएगा. फाइन, स्टार्ट करते हैं. फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन. Discuss the concept of air mass and explain its role in macroclimatic changes. क्या हुआ? हाँ? Discuss the concept of air mass and its role in macroclimatic changes. Again, how we have to approach this question. Approach कैसी है? देखो, again, I think most of you have attended that session also, art of answer writing वाला. In that also I told you, whenever you are answering a question, please do so chronologically. जो question में लिखा है first part address it, second part address it. हाँ? Hit the bullseye right from the beginning. Hit the bullseye right from the beginning. क्यों? ज़्यादा ना time होता है explain करने का, introduction देने का, gas भरने का time नहीं होता है. Hit the bullseye right from the beginning. And in geography this is quite easy because most of the questions are say fact based questions. ठीक है? This question, concept of air mass, from the very beginning you start writing that. What is an air mass? Simply a body of air which has similar physical properties. ठीक है? Similar physical properties. One more thing which I'll like to tell you is, whenever you are opening your answer, do not confuse the examiner. Whenever you are opening your answer, आपकी first line बहुत ही lucid, बहुत ही simple, बहुत ही छोटी होनी चाहिए. Obviously there are exceptions to any definitions. जैसे air mass का concept है. If you simply write similar physical properties, what does similar mean? Subjective context है. What are the physical properties which you are talking about? Number of physical properties can be there. So rather than introducing all those dimensions in your opening line, अगली लाइन से उनको एड्रेस करो. इज दिस पॉइंट क्लियर? अगर आप पहली लाइन में ही लिखने लग जाओगे, अ बॉडी ऑफ एयर हैविंग सिमिलर फिजिकल प्रॉपर्टीज सच एज टेम्परेचर, डेंसिटी, प्रेशर, मेड इन एन एरिया विद सिमिलर टोपोग्राफिक टेरेन एंड ऑल दैट, तो एग्जामिनर विल बी कंफ्यूज्ड. Our approach is, when we try to write the answer, we try to incorporate everything in the first line itself. Don't do that. First line should be simple as possible. Ethics के पेपर में अगर आपको पूछा जाए conflict of interest, what is conflict of interest? क्या लिखोगे इसमें? Simply write where public interest and personal interest are in conflict, are conflicting. That is the only definition which you should write. उसके बाद उसका example दो, कुछ भी आपको लिखना है उसके बाद दो. Do not complicate the matters in the first line. ठीक है? Air mass में give the concept of air mass, a body of air having similar physical properties. In the next line, write what properties are you talking about? Similar means that the gradient is sleek, vertical as well as horizontal gradient. Gradient means change, rate of change. Gradient is sleek. जैसे ये एक एयर मास है मान लो, वेरिएशन ऑफ टेम्परेचर अक्रॉस प्लस वेरिएशन ऑफ टेम्परेचर इन द वर्टिकल डायरेक्शन, दैट इज स्लीक. स्लीक मीन्स लेस, लगभग सेम है, हर जगह इक्वल नहीं है टेम्परेचर और प्रेशर और डेंसिटी एंड ऑल. It is almost the same. That means the gradient is less, rate of change is less. Is this point clear? Air mass, concept of air mass. Second, similar लिख दिया. Next, write up on physical properties. What are the physical properties? Simply write temperature, density. What else? An important property of air mass? Huh? Humidity. Humidity or the water holding, water which is held in that air mass, that is also similar across the air mass. Similar, I am saying similar, not the same. Is this point clear? Okay. Once you have defined this, then impact on macroclimate. Again, if you have studied air mass, then it is quite simple. You can write the impact on macroclimate. अगर नहीं पता है तो जैसे क्योंकि फैक्ट बेस्ड क्वेश्चन है तो आप नहीं कर पाएंगे. क्या है इम्पैक्ट ऑफ एयर मास? इम्पैक्ट ऑफ एयर मास क्या है? कैसे इन्फ्लुएंस करता है? फ्रंट. See, when you are writing impact on macroclimate, please make sure that you are mentioning the region. आपको रीजन आइडेंटिफाई करना जरूरी है. कौन से रीजन में एयर मास के कॉन्सेप्ट की वजह से मैक्रोक्लाइमेटिक वेरिएशंस होती हैं? हाँ, टेम्परेट लैटिट्यूड्स मोस्टली 45 to 60 degrees north and south. Make sure you write latitudes which are impacted. Give examples of countries. Most impacted country? No, not Mediterranean. UK. British type of climate. What is the impact? What is the impact of air masses? Frontal rainfall. ठीक है, फ्रंट्स फॉर्म होते हैं दो एयर मास व्हेन टू कंट्रास्टिंग एयर मास. मेक श्योर यू राइट दिस वर्ड contrasting. When two contrasting in terms of temperature, when two contrasting air masses meet, fronts are formed. फ्रंट के ऊपर क्वेश्चन पहले पूछा जा चुका है यूपीएससी में. व्हाट आर एयर फ्रंट्स? ये क्वेश्चन पूछा जा चुका है. जीएस में व्हाट आर एयर फ्रंट्स. अगर फ्रंट्स के बारे में पूछ लिया तो फिर एयर मास के ऊपर भी पूछ सकते हैं. ठीक है, और दिस इज अ कन्वेंशनल आंसर. इसके सिवा एक दो पॉइंट और एक्स्ट्रा हैं. इफ you had written those points, you will be fetching 1 or 2 more marks. एक impact of fronts is that will come under frontal rainfall only. Temperate cyclone वाला impact. Fronts cause these air masses cause temperate cyclones. One impact is, here I am assuming that you have studied a bit of geography. थोड़ी बहुत पढ़ रखी है ना? ऐसा तो नहीं है कि सीधा मुंह उठा के आ गए हो. थोड़ी बहुत तो पढ़ रखी होनी है एनसीईआरटी और जीसीडी थोड़ी बहुत. सी, दिस इज नॉर्थ अमेरिका. देयर आर रॉकी माउंटेन्स हियर. रॉकीज. Rockies mountain. Assume an air mass which forms here. यहाँ पे कौन से grasslands हैं? Prairies, American prairies, ऊपर की तरफ steppes type के, ठीक है? Prairies, steppes. How is an air mass formed? When stable conditions prevail over an area for a long duration of time. Stable conditions prevail over an area for long duration of time. जैसे ये prairies है, topographically similar land mass है, ज्यादा वेरिएशन इन टोपोग्राफी नहीं है. एक लार्ज एरिया ऑफ लैंड के ऊपर देर इज लेस वेरिएशन ऑफ टोपोग्राफी हियर इन प्रेरीज. सपोजिडली calm conditions prevail over this landmass for 10 or 15 days. Suppose calm conditions are prevailing. Calm conditions means वहां पे कोई turbulent weather नहीं है. Calm conditions prevail over this area for say 10 or 15 days. What will happen is the air which is in contact with the ground here, it will acquire similar properties of that ground. जो इस ground का temperature था that will be acquired by the air. Number one. Number two, since these are calm conditions, not turbulent conditions, mixing नहीं होगी ज़्यादा. Mixing. Is this point clear? Mixing नहीं होगी ज़्यादा. Because of that, almost entirely throughout this landmass, the physical properties would be almost uniform. Is this point clear? Is this point clear or not? Now, similarly, an air mass can form here. यहां पे क्या है, कैसा टेम्परेचर होता है कनाडा में, नॉर्दर्न कनाडा में? हाँ, नॉर्दर्न कनाडा में कैसा टेम्परेचर होता है? एक्सट्रीम कोल्ड. एक्सट्रीम कोल्ड दैट मीन्स एक्सट्रीमली ड्राई ऑल्सो. कोल्ड एयर हैज लेस कैपेसिटी टू होल्ड वाटर. इज दिस पॉइंट क्लियर? Cold air has less capacity to hold water, therefore the air mass which is forming here in this region, that is going to be extremely cold as well as extremely dry. When this air mass under the influence of any wind, वैसे तो easterly wind है यहाँ पे, just for your sake, just assume that under the influence of any wind, if this air mass moves over this area, what will happen? Assume this air mass is not there. Isolation में देख लो इस चीज को. If this air mass moves over this area, what will happen? The physical conditions of this area will be reflected upon this area now. ये tropical latitudes थे इस जगह पे. इस जगह पे tropical latitudes. Climate should have been hot. However, if this air mass moves over this region, then the climate becomes extremely cold. ये macroclimatic variation of air mass. When one air mass moves over another air mass unhindered move किया ये वाला air mass यहाँ पे, that means यहाँ पे जो physical properties थी, it brought all those physical properties along with it to this area. Physical properties of the new area are also going to change now according to the physical properties of the air mass source region. Is this point clear? Is this point clear? So air mass के अंदर there is not only frontal formation. The macroclimatic changes are not only because of fronts, they are also because the air masses are moving over different regions. Is this point clear? ये एक reason है. Second, one more important point is, it is similar to this. Air mass दूसरे region में move कर रहा है. Supposedly यहाँ पे air mass था. This is marine region. आर्कटिक ओशन या फिर नॉर्दर्न अटलांटिक वाला रीजन है. इफ दिस एयर मास मूव्स ओवर दिस पोर्शन और दिस पोर्शन, एक मरीन एयर मास है, दैट मीन्स इट हैज मॉइस्चर, इट इज नॉट ड्राई. एक मरीन एयर मास है, दैट मीन्स इट हैज मॉइस्चर. इफ दिस एयर मास मूव्स ओवर दिस रीजन, यहाँ पे एपलेशियन माउंटेन्स है, यहाँ पे न्यूयॉर्क है, इस जगह पे एपलेशियन माउंटेन्स है यहाँ पे. नाउ दिस एयर मास मूव्स हियर और some tropical marine air mass, this moves here, तब क्या होगा? Humidity will increase. यहाँ पे mountains है, mountains की वजह से upliftment होगा, that means rainfall. Therefore, another impact of air mass. Macroclimate of this region, east of Appalachian Mountains, is derived by the movement of maritime air masses. Maritime air masses may be polar or tropical. Is this point clear? Any doubt here? Any doubt? Again, as I said, in GS paper, most of the students will stop here, frontal effect. उसके बाद आपको 2 मार्क्स एक्स्ट्रा लाने हैं तो आपको ये लिखना पड़ेगा. अब आपकी मर्जी है, आप लिखोगे नहीं, बट दिस इज गिवन इन जीसी लियोंग, तो देयरफॉर इट इज एक्सपेक्टेड दैट यू राइट. ठीक है ना, एनसीईआरटी में भी दिया हुआ है ये. तो अब आपके ऊपर है, आपको लिखना है कि नहीं. फाइन. इज दिस क्लियर? इज द कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर है? Marine region, again, the concept is similar. The difference is this marine air mass has moisture. Since it has moisture and there are mountains lying over here, if this air mass enters this region, it is going to undergo upliftment. If it undergoes upliftment, that means there is going to be rainfall in this region. ठीक है? Is this point clear? आगे बढ़े, चलो. Next question. Himalayas are highly prone to landslides. Discuss the causes and suggest suitable measures of mitigation. Himalayas are highly prone to landslides. Quite simple, straightforward question. Point is how you present this answer. Presentation of this answer. Himalayas are highly prone to landslide. When you are writing this answer, divide your answer into 2 parts. First of all, anthropogenic reasons and natural reasons for landslides. What are the natural reasons? Huh? Young Fold Mountains. Again, hit the bullseye in the first line. Loose rocks, first of all. Most important reason for landslide is loose rocks. First line of your answer should be exact. उसमें कुछ scope नहीं होना चाहिए misinterpretation का. पहली line, ठीक है? Keep it as simple as you can. ऐसा सोचो कि आप 3rd class के बच्चे के लिए आंसर लिख रहे हो. ठीक है? Loose rocks. What else? What are the other natural reasons? Huh? High gradient, slope, steep slope. What else? Earthquake prone region. ठीक है? What else? Other natural reasons? Huh? High rainfall. What happens because of high rainfall? Huh? Because of high rainfall, the top layer becomes loose. ठीक है? Weathering, erosion, all those things. Again, you write, केवल यही चीज लिखनी है आंसर में. You don't explain these points. पहली बात, टाइम नहीं है. फर्स्ट पॉइंट इज आपके पास टाइम नहीं होगा लूज रॉक्स को आगे एक्सप्लेन करने का. सेकेंड थिंग इज, इफ यू आर राइटिंग एन एक्सप्लेनेशन आफ्टर दिस, द एग्जामिनर ही ऑलरेडी नोज दैट यू हैव रिटन दिस. आपके आगे होने क्या वाला है इसके अंदर? कोर पॉइंट आपका यही था, लूज रॉक्स, स्टीप स्लोप. देयर इज नो पॉइंट इन एक्सप्लेनिंग दीज पॉइंट्स फर्दर. आप टाइम एंड स्पेस वेस्ट कर रहे हो अपना अगर आप इसके बाद एक्सप्लेन करने जा रहे हो तो. You are not adding any value to your answer if you are going to explain these points afterwards. Is this point clear? So please don't waste your time. Again, next, anthropogenic regions. Huh? Mining activities, good. Mining activity के आगे एक line you can write. Because of mining activity, the rocks become weak. Construction of roads. Construction के आगे लिख सकते हो roads, dams, cleaning of forests. Again, you have to write one line there also. Anthropogenic activities you have to explain in one line. ठीक है? डायरेक्ट इम्पैक्ट है, ये सब चीजों का डायरेक्ट इम्पैक्ट था. एंथ्रोपोजेनिक एक्टिविटीज का थोड़ा सा इनडायरेक्ट इम्पैक्ट है. तो इट अगर आप एक लाइन लिख रहे हो तो इट्स वेल एंड गुड. Clear? Now, mitigation measures. Please tell me the difference between mitigation and adaptation. Remember one line. Addressing climate change is mitigation. Addressing impact of climate change is adaptation. क्लियर है बात की नहीं? क्लाइमेट चेंज को एड्रेस करना वो मिटिगेशन है, इम्पैक्ट ऑफ क्लाइमेट चेंज को एड्रेस करना वो एडेप्टेशन है. इन दिस क्वेश्चन व्हाट इज आस्क्ड? मिटिगेशन. दैट मीन्स व्हाट डू यू हैव टू एड्रेस? डायरेक्टली लैंडस्लाइड को कैसे रोकना है, ये एड्रेस करना है आपको. एडेप्टेशन मेजर्स नहीं पूछे हैं, ठीक है. ऑब्वियसली इफ यू राइट एडेप्टेशन मेजर्स, वेल एंड गुड, बट do not forget to write these mitigation measures. Core of the answer ये है, requirement of the answer is this, not the adaptation measures. ठीक है. अब क्या adaptation mitigation measures हैं लैंडस्लाइड को रोकने के लिए? हाँ, afforestation, okay. What else? Mapping, good. Mapping of hazard prone zone. और फेंसिंग, गुड. वैष्णो देवी गए हो कभी? वैष्णो देवी पे रास्ते में फेंसिंग कर रखी है कई जगह जहां पे भी लैंडस्लाइड प्रोन रीजन है. तो फेंसिंग. स्ट्रेंथनिंग ऑफ स्लोप्स. फॉर एग्जाम्पल concretization, mix concrete with the slope. जहां पे भी लैंडस्लाइड प्रोन रीजन है, you can mix concrete there. ऐसे strengthen हो जाएगी. Strengthening of slope. हाँ? That is too indirect. You have to explain a lot. Link करना पड़ेगा पूरा watershed management को. What else? और कोई तरीका? Afforestation लिख लिया ना? Anything else? यार कोई नया पॉइंट कहीं से आवाज आई? गुड, यस. एग्रीकल्चर. क्लीनिंग ऑफ फॉरेस्ट्स फॉर रिक्लेमेशन ऑफ एग्रीकल्चरल लैंड इज वन ऑफ द मेजर रीजंस फॉर लैंडस्लाइड. क्लीनिंग ऑफ फॉरेस्ट फॉर एग्रीकल्चर, जैसे टेरेसिंग करते हैं ना, तो दैट इज वन ऑफ द मेजर रीजन. देयरफॉर एड्रेस द एग्रीकल्चरल नीड ऑफ द रीजन. For example, promoting sustainable agricultural practices. Geotextile, good, extremely good point. योजना पढ़ते हो क्या? योजना में पॉइंट था geotextiles वाला. Using geotextiles to strengthen the slope. Good. One more point is missing. इससे एग्रीकल्चर से कुछ लिंक करो. नहीं यार. इकोनॉमी. Why has what was the observation of, एक क्वेश्चन भी तो है पेपर 3 में, ऑब्जर्वेशन ऑफ NDMA पोस्ट 2013 उत्तराखंड फ्लड्स. हाँ, अरे क्लाउड बर्स्ट नहीं यार. इलीगल कंस्ट्रक्शंस which have led the slopes very weak. Illegal constructions on the valley sides which has led the slopes very weak. तो मिटिगेशन मेजर में ही आएगा वो. टू प्रिवेंट दोज कंस्ट्रक्शंस, टू स्टॉप दोज कंस्ट्रक्शंस. ठीक है. तो इकोनॉमी जो अभी क्यों होती हैं वो कंस्ट्रक्शंस? टूरिज्म की वजह से, बिकॉज देयर इज हाई डिमांड ऑफ होटल्स एंड ऑल बिकॉज ऑफ टूरिज्म. सो चेंज द इकोनॉमिक मॉडल फ्रॉम टूरिज्म टू सेल्फ सस्टेनिंग मॉडल. Right now the economy is currently dependent on tourism, number one. Because of tourism there is a high demand of hotels and all those things. That means infrastructural demand is quite high. If you change the economic structure of those regions from tourism to something else which is more sustainable, change the economic structure of that region from tourism to something else which is more sustainable, something else, हमें पता नहीं क्या. ठीक है ना? समथिंग एल्स विच इज मोर सस्टेनेबल। अबे टूरिज्म को तो लिखना ही है, जब एनडीएमए ने बोला तो हमें तो लिखना ही पड़ेगा, ठीक है। इज दिस पॉइंट क्लियर? व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से इज इलीगल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कंस्ट्रक्शन बंद होना चाहिए। वो क्यों है? टूरिज्म की वजह से है। अगर टूरिज्म को की वजह से बंद करेंगे तो दैट मीन्स वी हैव टू प्रोवाइड सम अल्टरनेट सोर्स ऑफ इकोनॉमिक लाइवलीहुड देयर, ठीक है। दिस शुड बी योर कंक्लूडिंग पार्ट ऑफ द आंसर। क्लियर? चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं। The effective management of land and water resources will drastically reduce human miseries। ये एसए का क्वेश्चन है, इसमें पता नहीं क्या कर रहा है। Effective management of land and water resources will drastically reduce human miseries। Extremely vague question, कोई सर पैर नहीं है इसका। So how do you address this question? What is the core aspect of this question? Human miseries. Human miseries. How do you start this answer? The perfect way of answering this question is first you identify what are the human miseries. पहले human miseries identify कर लो। वो तो अपने दिमाग में रखनी है ना, लिखना थोड़ा ना है। अपने दिमाग में रखो इस चीज को कि ह्यूमन मिजरीज जो कि लैंड और वाटर की वजह से हैं, उनको आइडेंटिफाई कर लेते हैं पहले। आई एम टेलिंग यू हाउ डू यू प्रेजेंट दिस आंसर, हाउ डू यू स्ट्रक्चर दिस आंसर। अदरवाइज इफ यू स्टार्ट राइटिंग मैनेजमेंट ऑफ लैंड हाउ कैन इट बी इंप्रूव्ड, उसके अंदर ही आपके 20-25 पॉइंट्स हो जाएंगे, इतनी देर में आपका स्पेस खत्म हो जाएगा, ठीक है ना। वाटर तक आ ही नहीं पाओगे आप, ठीक है। तो करेक्ट वे ऑफ आंसरिंग दिस क्वेश्चन इज फर्स्ट यू आइडेंटिफाई ह्यूमन मिजरीज विच आर कॉज्ड बाय पुअर मैनेजमेंट ऑफ लैंड एंड वाटर। क्या क्या हो सकती हैं? क्या क्या हो सकती हैं? पुअर, इमेजिन ह्यूमन मिजरीज कॉज्ड बाय पुअर मैनेजमेंट ऑफ लैंड एंड वाटर, क्या क्या हो सकती हैं? अरे एक एक करके यार, एक साथ इमेजिन मत करो। कंटेमिनेशन, गुड। अगेन नाउ ही हैज ब्रॉट इन कंटेमिनेशन, सो आई विल टेल यू वन मोर थिंग। डिवाइड इट इन योर माइंड ओनली, इन योर माइंड डिवाइड इट इनटू 2 पार्ट्स, क्वालिटी एंड क्वांटिटी। दोनों चीजों के ऊपर आप सोच के लिख सकते हो, ठीक है। तो कंटेमिनेशन इज वन एस्पेक्ट। Contamination causing human misery such as baby deaths and all those things. Poor quality of water, poor quality of food. What else? Floods. Floods, good. What else? Floods as well as drought. What else? Decreasing groundwater, good. Availability of water. What else? और कुछ ह्यूमन मिजरीज से सोचो। ह्यूमन मिजरीज थोड़ा सा सोशल एस्पेक्ट में सोचो। स्प्रेड ऑफ डिजीजेस, गुड। हाँ, ये यहां से आंसर आया। क्या बोला? माइग्रेशन, गुड। माइग्रेशन, गुड। दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। और क्या? हाँ, फूड सिक्योरिटी। अब आ रहे हैं अच्छे पॉइंट्स। व्हाट एल्स? ठीक है, वाटर मैनेज, अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ वाटर लिख दिया। व्हाट एल्स? ब्रॉडली दीज आर द ह्यूमन मिजरीज। वंस यू आइडेंटिफाई दीज मिजरीज, देन लिंक देम विद मैनेजमेंट ऑफ लैंड एंड वाटर। Can you link these with management of land and water? Food security. Food security को लिंक करो। हाँ, मैनेजमेंट ऑफ लैंड एंड वाटर से क्या समझते हो? मैनेजमेंट, हाँ, ऑप्टिमम यूटिलाइजेशन, गुड। Yes, see, there are 1000 ways to write a good answer. But if you are doing it using examples, you will be missing out on many points. आप examples last में दे दो. For example, effective management in रालेगांव सिद्दीकी, effective management in बुंदेलखंड, ठीक है, दतिया तहसील in मध्य प्रदेश, it led to so and so increase in production, so and so addressing of human miseries. You can write that in conclusion. That is a better approach. If you are structuring your answer entirely around those examples, you are going to miss a lot of points. Again, there is nothing wrong with this approach. What I am saying is, which is better answer. If you structurally देखो ना आंसर को, इस आंसर के स्ट्रक्चर में आप ज्यादा पॉइंट्स आइडेंटिफाई कर पा रहे हो. If you are following this structure, otherwise your approach is not wrong at all. It is correct and good approach that you are structuring your entire answer around examples. That's fine, but because of that you are missing on lot of points. ठीक है, जैसे आप पंजाब का एग्जाम्पल देखिए अगर आप एक्सप्लेन करने लगो, दैट मीन्स यू हैव इफेक्टिवली एड्रेस्ड ओनली 2 पॉइंट्स, वन सैलिनिटी, सेकंड अंडरग्राउंड वाटर. यार कैन यू डू दैट इन 2.5 pages? आई डोंट थिंक सो. 2 pages in fact, I don't. अगर आप पॉइंट वाइज ये लिखोगे तो इट इज बेटर. ठीक है, योर अप्रोच इज गुड, नो कमेंट्स ऑन दैट. But using this you are going to write more points. That's the purpose. अच्छा ठीक है, effective management से क्या समझते हैं? First is optimum utilization. Next is equitable distribution. हाँ, तो यार वो इक्विटेबल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन में आ जाएगा ना. एक्सेसिबिलिटी, ठीक है यार, अगेन दैट बिकम्स पार्ट ऑफ दिस. यूज ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी, गुड. अरे हर जगह डिफॉरेस्टेशन लगा दोगे क्या यार? ऐसे मत करो. ओके, नाउ लिंक these things regarding land and water to these human miseries. How can optimum utilization of resources of land and water resources lead to elevation of food security? Migration कैसे use कम कर सकता है? Link these things. How can it do it? Just take 1 or 2 examples. You don't need to explain all those human miseries while addressing this land and water part. Just take 1 or 2 examples. कैसे कर सकते हैं? पंजाब का एग्जाम्पल दो, ठीक है? हाँ बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, yes you can write that. Effective management, optimum utilization में use micro irrigation का example, good. Write example of Indira Gandhi Canal, ठीक है? Write example of some watershed management, good examples you should know, ठीक है ना? watershed management के अच्छे examples जैसे दतिया district है एक, वहाँ पे there is an improvement in yields by up to 30%. Some good examples you should know. This was covered extensively in Indian Express last year. Pulses crisis था ना, इस वजह से it was covered extensively. Example of Nagpur which you should know. Nagpur has become the fruits and vegetable hub of the country. ठीक है ना? Why? Because of effective management of land and water resources in that region. Is this clear? The point is, this question is so wide in its scope. It becomes confusing for you in the exam. Where do we start? Where do we end this question? How to reduce that scope? You just identify those human miseries, then you link them with effective management. Migration कैसे कम करेगा? Migration के states कौन से हैं? UP and we are going to agricultural labor. They are sending to, say for example, Punjab. ठीक है? If there is effective management of land and water resources in these regions, it is going to control migration. ठीक है ना भाई? इफेक्टिव लैंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन इन बिहार इज हेवीली स्क्यूड, नंबर 1. नंबर 2, यूज ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी इज वेरी लेस, therefore agricultural production and productivity is quite less. Even though the land has good capability there, even though land has good capability in Bihar and eastern UP, still the agricultural production or agriculture productivity is quite less. How can you address it? Through effective management. Technology का use लाओ, redistribution of land करो, more equitable. Fine, is it clear? इसमें somebody asked, can we write about mineral resources, land resources में से can we write about mineral resources? That is going too far from the scope of the answer. ठीक है, लिखना चाहो लिख सकते हो, but that is too wide an interpretation. वैसे for your information, this line is directly from NCERT. इफेक्टिव में दिस लाइन इज डायरेक्ट क्लास 12th NCERT में, क्लास आई थिंक चैप्टर 12 के अंदर ये लाइन ऐसी कैसी दी हुई है. इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ NCERT. ठीक है. And in NCERT, this is given in context of climate change. Oh, I forgot to write the human misery में climate change वाला aspect. You add that thing. Climate change. That is also important here. Fine. आगे बढ़े. South China Sea has assumed great geopolitical significance in present context. Comment. This question may have been asked in paper 2, may have been asked in paper 3, but was asked in paper 1. अब paper 1 में पूछा है तो we should give certain geographical aspect here. ठीक है. Geopolitical aspect, South China Sea. Why was this question asked? हाँ यार, कंट्रोवर्सी तो साउथ चाइना सी में बहुत पुरानी है. Permanent Court of Arbitration gave its verdict. That is why. But obviously it has been in news लगातार. South China Sea, geopolitical significance has risen. What points you can write in this? Geographically relevant करने के लिए. What points you can write? Yes, yes. Some points, two important points which you should not miss here is, number one is demarcation of zones. Maritime demarcation of zones. Okay? One point which you should not miss. There is this thing called 9- line जो बोलते हैं ना, 9- line. China considers South China Sea as its internal waters, whereas the other countries which are claimant to different portion of South China Sea, they say that the demarcation should be done on the basis of UN clause. ये कुछ keywords आपके आंसर में होने चाहिए थे. Demarcation of zones, 9- lines, UN clause 3. Yeah, some of these keywords must have been there in your answers. Why? Because Permanent Court of Arbitration while deciding referred to this thing. ठीक है. Next, geopolitical aspect क्या है? Resources. हाँ? Resources, hydrocarbons. Again, because it is asked in geography section, you must have given certain examples here. क्या examples हैं? कुछ जगह का नाम बताओ. पार्सल आइलैंड्स के ऊपर क्या मिलता है? स्कारबोरो शोल. स्कारबोरो शोल इज वन इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट. छोटा सा आइलैंड टाइप का है शोल, स्कारबोरो शोल. This region is considered to be rich in natural gas. Even if you don't know this, you must have written ONGC Videsh Limited, which is performing some exploration functions there. ठीक है ना? Vietnam has given us certain exploration rights, and OVL is performing those functions. That's not Scarborough Shoal. I'm saying even if you don't know Scarborough Shoal, वो आपको लिखना चाहिए था. OVL के offshore operations. That is not Scarborough Shoal. Third point, geographical aspect. Third point, again keyword here is sea lanes of communication, SLOCs. This word should also have been there in your answer. SLOCs, sea lanes of communication. क्या होती हैं? जैसे हाईवेज होती हैं हमारी. Sea lanes of communication. Why are they important? they should be kept free. They should be kept free. India's trade in the Pacific region plus the west coast of Americas, that is carried out through South China Sea, is an important link there. Similarly, trade of Asian countries, South China Sea, important SLOCs pass through that region. Certain choke points are there. Choke points क्या होते हैं? नहीं, क्या होते हैं choke points? What are choke points? Critical points. If you have control over those choke points, you control the entire sea lane of communication. जैसे सिंगापुर, मलक्का स्ट्रेट्स, है ना? If you control those straits, you have access to all the sea lanes of communication passing through that region. Certain keywords which should have been part of your answer: SLOCs, choke points, trade routes. ठीक है? You could have given examples. 2/3 of China's trade is carried out through this South China Sea. Is this point clear? These are some points which you should not have missed in your answer. ठीक है? No need to give background of the dispute. Question में नहीं पूछा है, नहीं देना है. No need to give the background. Briefly mention the parties which are involved. अगर आपको मैप पता है उस रीजन का तो आप कर सकते हो. साउथ चाइना सी कौन से ओशन में? नॉर्थ या साउथ? नॉर्थ पैसिफिक ओशन में. गड़बड़ मत कर देना वहां पे साउथ चाइना सी इन साउथ पैसिफिक ओशन. समझ जाएगा कि आपको नहीं पता है. बना सकते हो यार, अगर आपको आता है तो बना सकते हो. ठीक है? It is always good if you are drawing diagrams, especially maps in geography answers. If you have time, well and good. ठीक है? क्या मैं बनाऊं? हाँ यार, बिल्कुल बना सकते हो. Of course you can draw and you should draw. ठीक है? नहीं, कम्युनिकेशन शिप्स वगैरह जाते हैं वहां से, हाईवे. नहीं, इट्स जेन्युइन डाउट यार. ठीक है? दे आर मोस्टली लोकेटेड अलोंग द कोस्ट ओनली. दे आर मोस्ट, अगर अटलांटिक से जा रहा है तो ऑब्वियसली वो पूरा अटलांटिक क्रॉस करके जा रहा है. लेकिन अगर कोस्टल कंट्रीज के बीच में जा रहा है, फॉर एग्जांपल इंडिया इज बीइंग कनेक्टेड विद साउथ ईस्ट एशिया, इट मोस्टली गोज थ्रू आउट द कोस्ट लाइन. ठीक है? जैसे इंडिया के जो कनेक्शन यूरोप के साथ है, वो कहां से जाता है? पाकिस्तान के नीचे से जाता है, बिल्कुल जस्ट कोस्ट लाइन को हग करता हुआ. ठीक है? वन इंपॉर्टेंट वर्ड विच आई फॉरगॉट हियर, जोन्स में EEZ, एक्सक्लूसिव इकोनॉमिक जोन. ठीक है? एक्सेस टू रिसोर्सेज इन EEZ. इज दिस क्लियर? आगे बढ़े. Major cities in India are becoming more vulnerable to flood conditions. Discuss. पेपर 3 में भी सेम क्वेश्चन पूछ दिया. क्वेश्चन बनाते समय एक दूसरे से बात नहीं करते हैं यूपीएससी वाले. Major cities are becoming to major cities of India are becoming vulnerable to flood conditions. क्यों पूछा गया क्वेश्चन? ऑब्वियसली आपको पता है, चेन्नई फ्लड्स. ठीक है? व्हाट आर द रीजंस एंड हाउ यू अप्रोच दिस क्वेश्चन? रीजंस फॉर फ्लड्स. सीधा यहीं से स्टार्ट करना अपना आंसर, और कुछ लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है. If you want to write, India has witnessed major floods in the past few years in urban areas such as Chennai in 2015, Mumbai in 2006, Delhi in 2015. ठीक है? That introduction is fine. उसके बाद सीधा यहाँ पे आ जाना. Reasons for floods. क्या क्या reasons हैं? हाँ? Flood plain destruction, most important reason. You have to explain this. What are the reasons for floodplain destruction? Why does floodplain destruction cause urban floods? क्या रीजन है? You write floodplains act as buffer areas. Floodplains act as buffer areas. Therefore, any excess amount of precipitation is absorbed by floodplains. Second, concretization. Again, explain this point. Why concretization is leading to increased incidences of urban floods? Huh? Water is not able to drainage. उसको और भी आप चाहे तो further explain कर सकते हो, because water is not able to drain seep below, therefore the drains become full very fast. हाँ, तो क्या बताना क्या चाह रहे हो? Geography पढ़ी है थोड़ी बहुत? I'm not just asking. Rainfall pattern of India, do you know? Bangalore has quite less amount of rainfall as compared to all these areas. Chennai, for example, Mumbai, for example. Mumbai has 200-250 centimeter of annual rainfall. Bangalore is quite less in that regard. ठीक है? देखो बैंगलोर में फ्लड आने का एस्पेक्ट थोड़ा कम है. ठीक है? अच्छा. In this concretization, if you want, अगर आपने किताब पढ़ी है तो आप एक डायग्राम भी बना सकते थे. This is discharge time and this is peak drainage time. This is discharge or rainfall. This is peak drainage. The time gap between these two has declined. इनके बीच में जो टाइम है ये कम हो गया है because of concretization. Again a way to present your answer. ठीक है? A better way. आपको डायग्राम अगर इसे बनाना है तो आप ये बना सकते हो. Discharge and peak drainage. The time gap earlier was quite large. Time gap now is quite less. ठीक है? What else? Other reasons for floods. Destruction of mangroves and wetlands. Include that in floodplains only. Destruction of lakes. In fact, this was reported during Chennai floods. Chennai until 1990 used to have about 600 lakes in the city, and now there are less than 50 lakes. Okay? Again, widely reported in newspaper. If you had been following newspaper, you would have written this point. Lakes, number of lakes in the cities. Lakes act again as a buffer. ठीक है? What else? हाँ, ये तो एंथ्रोपोजेनिक रीजन है. क्लाइमेट चेंज. हाँ, जस्ट अ सेकंड, बोलो. He is talking about some storm surge जैसे आ गई है. If you do not, ठीक है ना, if you do not construct barriers for storm surges, water will enter your city. यही बोल रहे हो ना आप, है ना? ठीक है. One of the reasons you can mention that. Floods का, urban floods का और specific reason, climate change. Because of climate change, the erratic patterns of rainfall have increased. There is more rainfall in regions which were earlier receiving high rainfall and lesser rainfall in regions which were earlier receiving already low rainfall. Erratic pattern, जहाँ पे ज़्यादा थी rainfall वहाँ पे और बढ़ गई है, जहाँ पे कम थी वहाँ पे और कम हो गई है. Because of this, because of increase in rainfall, there are floods, urban floods. ठीक है? Plus because of climate change, erratic rainfall occurs. Nobody knows where it is going to occur. For example, cloud burst, ठीक है? Intense convection. All those things. जैसे राजस्थान में फ्लड आई लास्ट ईयर, कोई मतलब नहीं था. ठीक है? That is all because of climate change. Again, that will all come in this floodplain destruction और mangrove उन्होंने बोला था, lakes में, all those things will come there. Deforestation. मिसमैनेजमेंट ऑफ सॉलिड वेस्ट, उससे क्या होगा? एक्सप्लेन करना पड़ेगा यार. हाँ, डिस्पोजल ऑफ सॉलिड वेस्ट आप कह रहे हो ना, एक्सप्लेन करना पड़ेगा. दैट इज नॉट डायरेक्टली रिलेटेड टू अर्बन फ्लड्स. ठीक है, you can write that, yes, you can write that. Mismanagement of solid waste, not proper disposal leading to choking of drains, that you can write, yes. हाँ बोलो. City planning, yes, good point. City planning also. Urban flood, that is a general point for mismanagement of urban resources. Planning of cities, ठीक है. Construction has not been carried out in a planned manner. Drainage systems have not been designed properly. ठीक है, drainage systems have not been designed to carry intense discharge, disposal of waste, जैसा इन्होंने बोला. That you can write all those points. Write all those points. Again, these are peripheral points. Geography के aspect से, in fact इस paper के aspect से, these are the core points which you should mention. Drainage, buffer zone, flood plains, destruction of mangroves and excessive discharge because of erratic rainfall. ये core points हैं, उसके बाद सारी peripheral points हैं. Is this point clear? Is this clear? हाँ बोलो. Yes, of course. देखो डिस्कस दिया है, पहली बार डिस्कस का मतलब जो मैं आपको बोला था ना, ये वाली पॉइंट लिखने के बाद एक्सप्लेन अ सर्टेन एस्पेक्ट, दैट इज द मेजर एस्पेक्ट ऑफ डिस्कस. इन कंक्लूजन, यस यू कैन गिव सर्टेन फ्यूचरिस्टिक एस्पेक्ट, कैसे एड्रेस करें इस चीज को. यस ऑफ कोर्स यू कैन राइट दैट. ठीक है, बोलो. ऑफ कोर्स यू कैन डू दिस. यार मैं आपको पहले ही बोला था, आप एग्जाम्पल से कर सकते हो. और एग्जाम्पल में इनफैक्ट इसके अंदर पॉइंट्स क्योंकि इतना ज्यादा है भी नहीं. इट इज बेटर एक्सप्लेन चेन्नई फ्लड्स, व्हाई डिड चेन्नई फ्लड्स अकर, व्हाई डिड दिल्ली फ्लड्स अकर, बॉम्बे फ्लड्स अकर. बॉम्बे फ्लड्स अकर बिकॉज ऑफ एक्सेसिव रेनफॉल. ठीक है, इसी तरह जबलपुर में भी इस साल फ्लड्स आई थी काफी ज्यादा, नर्मदा बेसिन में पूरे में. व्हाई डिड दैट दोज फ्लड्स अकर. यू कैन एक्सप्लेन दिस थ्रू एग्जाम्पल्स. गुड इनफ. क्लियर. अगेन यार 1000 लोग क्वालिफाई होते हैं, सबकी अपनी अपनी अप्रोच होती है. ठीक है, यू शुड नॉट फॉल फॉर ओनली वन अप्रोच. जिसमें आप कंफर्टेबल हो वो करो. ओके, नेक्स्ट. प्रेजेंट एन अकाउंट ऑफ इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी एंड एग्जामिन इट्स इकोलॉजिकल, इकोनॉमिक एंड पॉलिटिकल implication in the context of changing bilateral relations. Again, could have been asked in paper 2 or paper 3. Was asked here. Please read the question carefully. The question is not asking the implication of abrogation of Indus Water Treaty, जो कि न्यूज में था लास्ट ईयर पूरे टाइम आफ्टर उरी अटैक. The question is asking implication of IWT, not the implications of abrogation of the treaty. तो make sure when you're writing the answer, आप पहले जो क्वेश्चन में पूछा है उस चीज को एड्रेस कर रहे हो, उसके बाद आपको जो करना है करो. ठीक है, सॉरी. अकाउंट ऑफ इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी मालूम है, 1960. वर्ल्ड बैंक ब्रोकर्ड. The parties are only two, India and Pakistan. World Bank was the broker here. ठीक है, there are not 3 parties here. World Bank brokered the deal. Next, याद करनी है तो ऐसे कर लेना, IJCRBS. IJC रॉयल बैंक ऑफ स्कॉटलैंड. अरे हंसने की बात है यार इसमें. ऐसे ही किया है. ओके, IJCRBS. These are called western rivers. These are called eastern rivers. What is the share? 80 and 20%. 80% to Pakistan, 20% to India. Given account of पूछा है ना, तो this is sufficient. This is sufficient. Indus Water Treaty brokered in 1960 by the World Bank between India and Pakistan. regarding distribution of waters in Indus and its tributaries. Divided Indus into two zones, eastern rivers and western rivers. ठीक है? Control. Give an account of basic points of Indus Water Treaty देने आपको. पूछा आपसे सीधा बताओ Indus Water Treaty क्या है? सीधा ही पूछा है. Give an account of Indus Water Treaty. Now obviously you don't have to go into details. किस मंथ में कितना पानी जाना चाहिए किसी को नहीं पता. ठीक है ना? जो न्यूट्रल एक्सपर्ट कॉन्स्टिट्यूट करते हैं उनको भी शायद नहीं पता होता. This is enough. This is enough. Eastern and western rivers, number 1, number 2, and then 80% and 20%. ठीक है? Now next. Examine its ecological, economic and political implications in context of changing bilateral relations. See, if it is given in context of changing bilateral relations, when you're writing those implications, start with this. Changing bilateral relation. How have the bilateral relations changed and how is it affecting Indus Water Treaty? Start with this. You can write simply in context of Uri attack, India has considered the proposition of abrogating Indus Water Treaty or withdrawing itself from the Indus Water Treaty. उसके बाद लिखो IWT has had following implications. अरे IWT मतलब Indus Water Treaty. It has had following implications. Then write ecological. क्या ecological implications? Because of IWT, what are the ecological implications? Two very important. Number 1 is salinity. Because there is virtual pressure on India to utilize all the waters of eastern rivers. That has given rise to problem of salinity. Excessive water utilization से salinity है. Number 1. Number 2, because major water flows through these western tributaries into Pakistan, the soil of Pakistan has also turned saline. Salinity में दोनों aspect लिखने हैं. इंडिया की salinity, पंजाब की, plus पाकिस्तान में पंजाब की salinity. Both the aspects you have to write. Clear? Ecological implications. Is this point clear? Salinity में write both India as well as Pakistan. Number 2, ecological implication on water species. Water species, for example, Indus River dolphin. Indus River dolphin downstream Indus, पाकिस्तान में नीचे की तरफ मिलती है. ऊपर की तरफ नहीं मिलती है कोई मछली पहाड़ों में, नीचे की तरफ मिलती है. Because of this Indus Water Treaty, the water which reaches Arabian Sea, it is number 1 highly contaminated with fertilizers and all those chemicals, and number 2 very less in quantity. Ecological flow is not there. Minimum ecological flow is not there. Because of that, water species such as Indus water dolphin, their habitat is impacted. Is this clear? Ecological significance. Next कौन सा है? हाँ? Economic significance. तीसरा क्या है? Political है, social है? Political. Okay. What is the economic significance of Indus Water Treaty? In this, you write number 1 about agricultural patents. बिल्कुल पहला एग्रीकल्चर पैटर्न, और दूसरा जो ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है हाइड्रो पावर इन JNK प्लस ट्रांसपोर्ट एंड नेविगेशन इन JNK वाला एस्पेक्ट. हाइड्रो पावर प्लस transport and navigation. These are the economic. This is the economic significance. Because of this Indus Water Treaty, we are not able to utilize the hydropower potential of all those western rivers. We are also not able to utilize those rivers for transportation and navigation. इसमें क्या example है? Transportation वाला. Tulbul navigation project. हाइड्रो पावर में आप एग्जांपल दे देना, किशनगंगा, बागलीहार, हाँ, और कौन कौन से हैं? व्हाट एल्स? दो बहुत है वैसे, और कौन कौन से एग्जांपल्स हैं हाइड्रो पावर में? राटले, गुड. You can give these examples. Economic implications of Indus Water Treaty. Can you write? Economic implication number 1, affecting the agricultural pattern of the region. Affecting the agricultural pattern of the region because of excess water utilization, rice is being grown. Economic implication है. Number 2, hydropower as well as transport and navigation. Because of Indus Water Treaty, we are not able to utilize hydropower potential, plus not able to use them for transport and navigation in J&K. Is this clear? Political implication. What are the political implications of Indus Water Treaty? Political implications of Indus Water Treaty. हाँ? क्या? Dialogue process has been stalled. नहीं यार, it is considered a successful example. Bilateral relations. Indus Water Treaty is an example of successful international treaty, especially between two countries which are constantly at loggerheads with each other. ठीक है? Political implication. This treaty has never been suspended. ठीक है? This treaty has kept open the doors of dialogue between the two countries. आज तक. उसके बाद अगला पार्ट जो है क्वेश्चन का, implications in the context of changing bilateral relation, उसके बाद आएगा. Plus what else? इंटरनेशनल नेगोशिएशंस. हाँ, उसी में तो आएगा इंटरनेशनल नेगोशिएशंस. इंटरनेशनल नेगोशिएशंस. We being the upper riparian state has given so much access to Pakistan on the rivers which are flowing through our territory. This sets an international precedent. This sets an international precedent for two countries to deal with rivers flowing through their territory. जैसे ब्रह्मपुत्रा का केस है. इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी, इफ फॉर एग्जांपल, अब इतना स्कोप नहीं है आंसर में लिखने के लिए, बट यू कैन सिंपली राइट दिस इंटरनेशनल नेगोशिएशन, द ट्रीटी सेट्स अ प्रेसिडेंट. इतना आप लिख सकते हो. जस्ट फॉर एक्सप्लेनिंग इट टू यू, आई एम जस्ट टेलिंग यू. ब्रह्मपुत्रा के केस में देयर कैन बी अ सिमिलर ट्रीटी विच कैन बी नेगोशिएटेड. जैसे इतना % ऑफ वाटर वुड बी विद चाइना, इतना % ऑफ वाटर वुड बी विद इंडिया. चाइना विल हैव टू गिव ऑल द इंफॉर्मेशन रिगार्डिंग द फ्लोज ऑफ पर्टिकुलर ट्रिब्यूटरीज इनटू ब्रह्मपुत्रा. ठीक है? पार्टली सक्सेसफुल एग्जांपल, नंबर 1. नंबर 2, वेयर इज इट लैकिंग? Because of Indus Water Treaty, developmental aspects of J&K have been stalled. Agriculture as well as navigation and hydropower. तीनों in J&K. In fact, J&K Assembly has number of times passed a resolution to withdraw India from Indus Water Treaty. ठीक है ना? Political implications क्या हैं? Positive ये है, negative क्या है? J&K के development पे. Is this point clear? अगेन इतना स्कोप नहीं होगा आंसर में लिखने का, बट इफ यू राइट ओनली दिस पॉइंट इट विल मेक इट सेल्फ क्लियर टू द एग्जामिनर. ज्यादा पॉइंट लिखना है, एक्सप्लेन नहीं करना. इज दिस पॉइंट क्लियर? नो. पाकिस्तान से क्यों होगी ब्रह्मपुत्रा में? नहीं, नो, वी डोंट हैव एनी ट्रीटी. वी आर नहीं, आई एम जस्ट सेइंग दैट इट सेट्स एन इंटरनेशनल प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ नेगोशिएटिंग अ ट्रीटी in a bilateral manner which has proved itself to be successful throughout 3 wars. ठीक है ना? तो इस टाइप की ट्रीटी एक प्रेसिडेंट सेट कर रही है, इसीलिए एक पॉजिटिव एग्जांपल है. पॉलिटिकल इंप्लीकेशन ये है इसका. ब्रह्मपुत्रा के केस में क्या ट्रीटी होगी वो हमें थोड़ा ना पता है. आई एम जस्ट गिविंग एन एग्जांपल. इज दिस पॉइंट क्लियर? In your concluding paragraph, you must mention that India is willing to abrogate the treaty in context of Uri attacks. You can mention, in fact, you have to mention that. ठीक है ना? उसके क्या implications होंगे changes के, इतना scope आंसर का नहीं है, but 1 or 2 lines you can write. It sets a bad precedent, unilaterally withdrawing from a treaty. ठीक है, आगे बढ़े. ओके. Enumerate the problems and prospects of inland water transport in India. बहुत ही स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड क्वेश्चन है. प्रॉब्लम्स एंड प्रोस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ इनलैंड वाटर ट्रांसपोर्ट. अगेन सीधा आंसर एड्रेस करो. प्रॉब्लम्स क्या है, प्रोस्पेक्ट्स क्या है. क्या प्रॉब्लम्स हैं इनलैंड वाटर ट्रांसपोर्ट के? हाँ, प्रॉब्लम्स ऑफ इनलैंड वाटर ट्रांसपोर्ट. स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड या पॉइंट्स में लिखो क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम्स है. सबसे पहला तो यार सिल्टेशन है यार. एग्जाम्पल देके लिखना सर, एग्जाम्पल वाले भैया, एग्जाम्पल देके लिखना इसमें. सिल्टेशन एग्जाम्पल ऑफ ब्रह्मपुत्र यार. हाँ, नियर फरक्का बैराज. यस, गुड. ब्रह्मपुत्र इज द बेस्ट एग्जाम्पल. इट ब्रिंग्स लॉट ऑफ सिल्ट फ्रॉम द फ्रॉम द ईस्टर्न हिमालयास. ठीक है, सिल्टेशन. व्हाट एल्स? meandering, meandering, uneven terrain, minimum flow to carry large vessels, minimum flow to carry large vessels. If you know some stats here, you can write. In China or in Europe, the maximum quantity, the maximum weight which the rivers can carry is about 40,000 tons. In India, it is not even 1,500 tons. अगर पता है तो लिख सकते हो. पता कैसे होगा? अगर न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ोगे तो. न्यूज़पेपर में आती रहती है चीज. ठीक है, मिनिमम टनेज, मिनिमम टनेज. हाँ बोलो, क्या कह रहे थे? हाँ, इकोलॉजिकल कंसर्न की तो कोई वैल्यू ही नहीं है इंडिया में. लिख सकते हो बाद में प्रॉब्लम्स क्या है, बट ये प्रॉब्लम तो कोई सोचता ही नहीं है. somebody told a good point. Seasonal rivers, yes, seasonal rivers or seasonal nature of flow. One aspect which you should mention is ये सब natural causes हैं, natural reasons or natural problems why waterways have not developed. One reason is insufficient policy attention to inland water transport in past. Insufficient policy attention. Insufficient policy attention to water transport in the past. What are the prospects? Prospects. See, what you are telling is those are advantages. Those are not prospects. You have to link somehow those advantages with prospects. Prospects क्या होते हैं? Yes, prospects. We have huge infrastructural requirement. We have huge infrastructural requirement. Waterways can share the burden with railways and roadways. ठीक है? You begin like this, sharing of burden. इसके अंदर you write those advantages. Cheapest means what else? Environmentally most suitable. ठीक है? Sharing of burden, in that you can write. What else? What are the other prospects? It can lead to decentralized development, especially in the currently backward areas. Aims of development. एम्स ऑफ डेवलपमेंट क्या है? डिसेंट्रलाइज इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन, फॉर एग्जाम्पल यू कैन राइट दिस कैन बी मेट बाय वाटरवेज. ठीक है, इसमें एग्जाम्पल दे दो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल बिहार, for example Bihar, because of waterways, development of waterways, there are prospects, cheap means of transportation provide करते हैं, the labor does not have to migrate to other places. All those points you can write here. Is this clear? ये prospects हैं. Again advantages को prospect से link करके लिखो. Do not straight away write the advantages. Is this point clear? Do not straight away write the advantages. उनको prospects से link करके लिखो. ठीक है? Another example which you can give here is development of agro-based. You need to know the example. वो कहाँ है? Almost all of them are in backward areas. Almost all of them कहाँ है? National Waterway 1 कहाँ है? इलाहाबाद टू हल्दिया. 2 कहाँ है? सादिया टू डुबरी. 3 कोटायम टू कोल्लम केरला. 4 is कहाँ है? काकीनाडा टू, यस गुड, पुडुचेरी. 5 Lakipur to Banga, good. In all those regions where agriculture prime driver of the economy. So mention that point. This can lead to development of agro-based industry. Is this point clear? Agro-based clear? माइक्रो वाटरशेड डेवलपमेंट प्रोजेक्ट क्या हुआ? किसी ने पूछा था क्या कुछ? ओके. इन व्हाट वे माइक्रो वाटरशेड डेवलपमेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स हेल्प इन वाटर कंजर्वेशन इन ड्रॉट प्रोन एंड सेमी एरिड. Write the area under a micro watershed. If not, you should know the hierarchy. Largest is the river basin, जैसे इंडस रिवर बेसिन और गैंजेटिक रिवर बेसिन. डेल्टा along with all its tributaries. कोई बड़ी से बड़ी, छोटी से छोटी, that is river basin. गैंजेटिक रिवर बेसिन है. कृष्णा रिवर बेसिन, गोदावरी रिवर बेसिन. ठीक है, कृष्णा रिवर along with all its that comes a macro watershed. That river, that tributary plus all that region which its tributaries cover. यार watershed का concept ये होता है basically. Watershed देखो geologically if you have to imagine in space, it is just a water divide. Water divide, that means any water which is falling on southern slope of this mountain, that is going to be flowing in that direction. ठीक है, इसी तरह इस माउंटेन के ऊपर इसकी जो नदर्न स्लोप के ऊपर वाटर means this entire mountain chain is acting as a water divide. तो इन दोनों के बीच में जो भी रिवर फ्लो हो रही है, that is going to, ये वाटरशेड का जियोलॉजिकल कॉन्सेप्ट है. जियोलॉजिकल, इफ यू हैव टू इमेजिन इट इन स्पेस, दिस इज this range acts as a water divide. ठीक है. Now watershed in geography is more than just a geological concept. Watershed is also an ecological concept, also an hydrological concept. By ecological concept, I mean watershed does not only mean this space, it also means all the ecology in this area. Types of forests here, vegetation here, crops which are grown here, people which live here, all those things are also included in watershed. By hydrological, I mean not only the river which is flowing here, it also includes the groundwater potential of this region. All that groundwater which is in this region, all the tributaries of this river which are flowing here, seasonal streams, all those things, they are all included in watershed. Is this point clear? Watershed is quite a comprehensive concept. Not only a geological concept, but also as well as an ecological as well as hydrological concept. ये point clear है? For example, Gangetic. उसके बाद एक मैक्रो वाटरशेड. फॉर एग्जाम्पल केवल गंगा का रिवर बेसिन या फिर एग्जाम्पल ओनली यमुना रिवर बेसिन. देन कम्स अ सब वाटरशेड. यमुना की ट्रिब्यूटरी, एग्जाम्पल चंबल. बस यार ठीक है. पार्वती, बनास, काली सिंध एंड ऑल दोस्त. ठीक है. The watershed of these rivers, this is going to come under micro watershed. ठीक है. See, it has been specifically asked in the question micro watershed management. That is why you will have to specify this. It has been, भाई पूछा है ना उसके अंदर स्पेसिफिकली, तो क्या कर सकते हैं. तो आपको ये हायरार्की मालूम होनी चाहिए. Otherwise, area wise, different institutions use different area wise classification. Generally, micro watershed is 500 to 1000 hectares. इतने साइज का जो लैंड पार्सल होता है उसको माइक्रो वाटरशेड की तरह क्लासिफाई करते हैं. ठीक है. नो नीड टू नो दिस एग्जैक्ट एरिया डायमेंशन, यू नीड टू नो दिस हायरार्की. ठीक है. नाउ क्वेश्चन क्या है? इफेक्टिव मैनेजमेंट ऑफ, in what ways micro watershed development projects help in water conservation in drought prone and semi arid regions of India. If you know this concept, if you know that watershed is a geological, ecological and hydrological, you can do this question. Management of micro watersheds, arid semi arid regions में कैसे काम आएगा? नहीं, वाटरशेड मैनेजमेंट में देखो हम क्या क्या एक्टिविटीज होती हैं एक टाइप से. व्हाट डू यू डू अंडर वाटरशेड मैनेजमेंट? जियोलॉजिकल एस्पेक्ट ले लेते हैं पहले. मैनेज करना है इस वाटरशेड को. वी हैव टू मैनेज दिस वाटरशेड. जस्ट थिंक, इफ यू डोंट नो व्हाट इज इंटीग्रेटेड वाटरशेड मैनेजमेंट प्रोग्राम, जस्ट थिंक अबाउट इट. क्या क्या होगा इसकी मैनेजमेंट में? एक स्लोप मैनेजमेंट होगा. स्लोप मैनेजमेंट, फॉर एग्जाम्पल यू हैव डेवलप्ड सर्टेन कैनाल्स हियर, मेन रिवर से कैनाल्स कुछ फील्ड में जा रही हैं, उनका स्लोप मैनेजमेंट होगा. ठीक है. यू कैन राइट दिस स्लोप. और क्या होगा? बिल्डिंग ऑफ स्मॉल चेक डैम्स. ठीक है. स्टोरेज ऑफ वाटर प्लस डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ वाटर. स्टोरेज ऑफ वाटर एंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ वाटर थ्रू चेक डैम्स. और क्या होगा? ड्रेजिंग. नहीं इतनी नहीं यार, व्हीकल्स थोड़ा चलाने इसके अंदर. Dredging is not required. Dredging is not part of this. Plus, ecological aspect. I told you about all the forestation, different agricultural crops which are grown in the region. How are you going to manage those? On-farm management techniques कुछ होंगी. For example, provision of education to the farmers, provision of pesticides, fertilizers, best practices, best seeds to the farmer. All those things are also part of watershed management. Ecology से जोड़ के देखो ना उसे. एग्रीकल्चरल मैनेजमेंट करना है, agricultural management in a watershed. Think about it, what are all going to be the components of that? Agriculture improve कैसे करोगे? अच्छी seeds provide करके. Let the farmer know what are the best practices, best scientific practices. Make available to him best seeds, make available to him fertilizers, pesticides, all those things. All those things are covered under watershed management. ठीक है? इनको generally classify करते हैं on farm activities से. OFDs बोलते हैं on farm developments. अगर ये नहीं भी पता है तो what I have told you that is sufficient. यार बता रहा हूं यार, ठंड रखो थोड़ी सी. See, the point is, I do not expect students who are not of geography optional to understand this concept of micro watershed management so easily. Therefore, I am telling you, even if you don't know, if you know this definition of watershed, what all is included in a watershed, then you can link it to the requirement of the question. अगर आपको पता है कि ecological aspects में ये on-farm developments हैं, geological aspects में check dams, slope management है, now can you link it to semi-arid and arid regions? Semi-arid और arid regions में क्या है? There is less rainfall. Therefore, important aspect is management of water, conservation of water. तो check dams बना के, rain water harvesting करके, can you improve the agriculture productivity of that region? तो write those points here. Rain water harvesting. First you write the properties of those semi-arid and arid regions. क्या है कि भाई वहाँ पे पानी नहीं है, ठीक है? Agricultural development is not there. Availability of seeds suitable for that proper climate is not there. If you know all those aspects of watershed management, you can write these points, ठीक है? Is this point clear? Watershed management के aspects. How can management of watershed lead to improvement in arid and semi-arid regions? Can you link this now? Farmers को make available to them the best quality seeds. For example, quickly maturing varieties. अगर आप उनको quickly maturing varieties available करा दोगे, राजस्थान में मान लो केवल 10 या 15 दिन के पीरियड में रेनफॉल होती है. The period of rainfall in Rajasthan on arid or semi-arid region is quite small. If you provide them with the seeds which mature quite fast, which are adapted to that climate, will it help them? If you provide them with facilities which are going to help them in rainwater harvesting or storage of water for longer period of time, it is going to help them. You write those points here. Is this aspect clear? Is this point clear? चलो ठीक है. Rainwater harvesting, management of water resources. ठीक है. If you want to stay, you please stay. The sir will take modern India and post-Indian international.
So welcome everyone again. I hope your energies are intact. Thank you for your patience. So the section that is remaining is not going to take much of your time. Don't worry about that. And obviously it is a section that most of the people feel comfortable with. They all know what history is and how to study it. So we will survey the landscape of this year's question paper, Civil Services Mains Examination, GS Paper 1. And the particular issue areas that we are going to cover are, we in the short form refer to them as modern India, right? You can find the full form if you are looking at your syllabus, freedom struggle and world history. So out of all these areas, if you analyze the question paper, modern India and freedom struggle in history remain important as far as the distribution of marks is concerned. Secondly, if you look at this year's paper, last year's paper, going back to 2013, you will find personality-based questions remain in vogue. They are important. And what is happening to world history? Now in this new pattern, world history initially had a large share. 4 questions in 2013, and then you can see it's continuously declining in terms of its share of questions. And in 2016, you have 1 question from world history. So now that would give you some idea as to what to do with the section of history, including Indian history and world history. The questions that were asked, if you look at this year's question paper, serial number 3, the question was, explain how the uprising of 1857 constitutes an important watershed in the evolution of British policies towards colonial India. Now in history, time frame is important, and for addressing any question, breaking it down is important. So the question is asking you to explain. You have to simplify what has already been told to you in the question. That there is no doubt that 1857 is the year when there are certain seminal changes in that year and after that, which continue till the colonial rule in India, the British colonial rule in India stays. So what were the changes? So remember two things, watershed moments before and after, and not only changes, because the first thing that would come to your mind is what were the changes, but also continuity, the element of continuity. Was there any continuity in British policies towards India after 1857? Now I know, I'm guessing it, that most of you would be familiar with the broad contours of the changes that were there in the British policy after 1857. Most of you, if you have read your polities, so books like M. Lakshmikant, the first section tells you about the various legislative changes, administrative changes that occurred, right? Similarly, if you are following your basic books of history from Bipan Chandra to NCERTs, you know that there are certain changes that are happening. So this is the section. Nature of the question is fundamental. Why? Because you can find it easily in all the books. The subject matter is not going to change. It's pretty static. And difficulty level has been deemed to be easy and medium because you are going to find the answer in the textbooks. You don't need to do much jugglery with this particular question. But the sources where you need to go is obviously Modern India, NCERT by Bipan Chandra, the old one. Many of you read Spectrum's A Brief History of Modern India. You find 2 separate chapters in this particular book where the changes have been spelled out very specifically. And then if any of you has been interested in history and also gone through the NCERT, this is the new NCERT, class 8th, chapter 5, When People Rebel, the last section is about what happened after 1857. And in points, the last section of the chapter, in very specific points, mentions what happened. This is the subject matter of your answer. Now, what are the main points that should be there in your answer as far as this question is concerned? So the legislative changes, right? Sovereignty is now of the crown and the company's role diminishes, and the basis of that is Act for the Good Government in India 1858, which is also known as the Government of India Act 1858. And what does this act do? Apart from other things, creates the office of Viceroy, right? Now there is a Secretary of State responsible for the affairs of India, right? The company rule is abolished. Then administrative changes. You have series of Indian Councils Act 1861, 1892, 1909, right? And then the Act of 1858 itself mentions the creation of the Indian Civil Services. Before that, the bureaucracy, the company bureaucracy is divided into covenanted and non-covenanted civil services. Now there is a creation of Indian Civil Services. Why? So that the crown can administer its colony effectively, right? So that is the purpose of it. Now, another area that we can touch upon is military reorganization, right? So what is happening? If you look at it, most of the points would go back to why 1857 happened. What were the causes of the setback that the Britishers received in 1857? So you could see, of course, the company rule, the mismanagement in the company rule was responsible for it. So there are administrative changes, there are changes in terms of sovereignty. Militarily what happened was It was actually a military revolt that started and then spread. So there was discontent within the military, the armed forces of the company. So there was military reorganization in terms of what? In terms of whom to recruit, right? So the Britishers decided that they are no longer going to recruit mostly from areas such as Awadh or Bengal, right? They are going to recruit more, right? Strategically they decided they are going to recruit more from the peripheral areas or the areas that those are more amenable to the British rule, right? So recruitment of Gurkhas, recruitment from Punjab and such areas. So this is the military organization. Now you need police force also, because military is not going to control the civilians, right? And then in 1857 revolt, it was not only the military personnel who were involved, but it was also the common people who had grievances, right? So policing is required in that case. So there is a police commission, there is a Indian Police Act 1861, establishment of a police force. It is not an all India police force, but it spells what the police is going to do, right? And then the provinces are free to frame their own policing policies, right? Social policy. So if you again go back to the reasons of 1857, it was also about society, right? Religion, culture, right? So the soldiers considered it a sin to serve abroad, and then there was this issue of new cartridges being introduced. So the Britishers learned it very quickly that intervention in the social affairs, local social affairs, only if it is required to further the British interest, right? So you see what happens? The policy of divide and rule, right? So you pit one community against the other, because in 1857 what happened was, it was a great example of Hindus and Muslims and various sections of society coming together. So if the British rule has to continue, there has to be a policy which concentrate on the society. Apart from that, if you see earlier, there are policies like the Sarda Act or banning the sati, right? But now the Britishers decide that instead of making enemies by intervening in the social practices, they would let it go on. So, right? So that is what social policy is all about. And then you can also add communications and infrastructure. Railways was there, telegraph was there, but now they learned a lesson from 1857 that communications are important. You know, carrying the armed forces where they are required rapidly is important. So the impetus of communications and infrastructure is strategic, apart from obviously trade related issues. And you can say that communication infrastructure is more of a continuity rather than a change, right? Because it was happening. Trade is still important for the Britishers. Earlier it was the company, now it is the British government which is responsible, right? The trade is still important. So this is a sort of continuity. What other continuity you can look for? Though 1857 constitutes a watershed, but there are certain continuities, right? In education, the aim is still to produce a class of educated Indians who know English well enough to continue the tasks of the British rule, to carry the burden of the British Raj. But then not at the top positions, right? Not so much that they can become a threat for the British rule, only to the extent where they are helpful in continuing the British policies, right? So education is not a break from the past, rather a continuation. There are slight changes. Other area that you can find, there are not many changes. Economy, the purpose is still the same. Subordination of India for fulfilling the interests of British rule, right? British industries, British economy. So that is what it is. And if you mention these points, there are other points that you can also remember and mention. If you have divided your answer in these parts, it would be considered a good enough answer. So we can move on to the next question. So this is discuss the role of women in the freedom struggle, especially during the Gandhian phase, right? The question specifically spells out your task, right? If you look at the syllabus, it is contributions and contributors, right? So the contribution of women in the freedom struggle, but in the Gandhian phase. Now, interestingly, if you are looking at the question papers of previous years, you will find that in 2013 there was a question about the contribution of women in freedom struggle, right? But that was, yes, that was for the whole of freedom struggle, right? There were no temporal boundaries, but here you have a phase into it, right? And you have to take that into consideration while constructing your answer. So everyone knows something, at least something about the contribution of women in freedom struggle, right? So this question might be a problem of plenty. So you have to pick and choose and then construct your answer. Again, section is mentioned, nature is fundamental because you will find it in all the books that you read. Difficulty level is again easy to medium depending on your preparedness and the way you could write the answer. A source which mentions it specifically is Shekhar Bandyopadhyay, Placido Partition, right? Many people read it, many of you don't read it, but if you were not reading this book, and if you are following Yojana for other purposes, covering up other sections of your syllabus, if you are reading Yojana, in 2016 issue, there is a specific article that mentions the role of women in the freedom struggle, wherein you can find the subject matter to be written in your answer. So now, briefly, what were the points that you could mention? What is the Gandhian phase? Gandhi came back to India in 1915, right? And till he was active in politics, there are certain movements that he is associated with. Because of the mode of mass mobilization, the methods that he used, that is why it is called the Gandhian phase. And these are the important movements, right? You need to identify these. Then women at the leadership role within the Congress, because Congress is the primary vehicle of furthering the nationalist cause in that particular period, right? And Gandhi brings certain fundamental changes to the nature of Congress, making it into a mass organization, right? Creating a mass movement. So women at the leadership position, you can also mention Annie Besant, who was Congress president in 1917. That is right, right? Then various women figure that you could have mentioned in your answer. B. Amma in the Khilafat movement, mother of the Ali brothers, right? Played an encouraging role. Durga Bai, again, representing a certain section of society. What did she do? No, this Durga Bai, she organized the Devdasis in Andhra Pradesh in support of Gandhiji's call, right? Usha Mehta, yes, you are right. Aruna Asif Ali, underground leadership, 1942, Quit India movement. These are some of the names that I am mentioning. Kasturba Gandhi, Kamala Nehru, they were all responsible and actively participated at one level or the other in organizing. Kasturba Gandhi even went to jail. She was arrested. Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay, again a youth leader for the Congress. You can also mention Nalini Das Gupta, who was also a Congress president briefly in 1932. Now, Kalpana Datta, Preetilata Wadidar, should we mention it, should we not mention it? Well, the Gandhian phase is well defined in the textbooks that you read. But if you generally take it in terms of the time frame, the role of Kalpana Datta and Preetilata Wadidar coincides with what is happening in the rest of the country, right? So obviously you can mention them that they were not part of the Gandhian mobilization per se, but they were active in the same cause in the same period. Maybe their tactics was different, right? And then obviously you have to recognize there are unnamed millions of women who were active and in various phases, right? Apart from that, what else can you write? You can write the name of certain organizations, right? Like the Rashtriya Stree Sangh, which worked closely with the Congress in the phase of non-cooperation movement, right? Next question. Now, how many of you think that this question was an obvious choice as far as Mains 2016 is concerned? Yes. So all of you are right, because they are asking about important personalities in the freedom struggle and their contribution. Last year it was a question on Mahatma Gandhi. How would have been, yes, the achievement of independence different? Then there was a question whose the scope of that question spread to society also, right? Because that question was about Gandhi-Ambedkar debate, the approach, the difference in approach as far as amelioration of the downtrodden is concerned. But then personality-based questions are there. Now this is also a seminal debate in Indian history because of the break that happened in 1939 where Tripuri Congress, right? But again, if you are interested and you are keeping yourself informed, you are reading newspapers, so you would have noticed that Subhash Chandra Bose, Netaji, was in news this year, covered extensively in news articles, right? And various other sources of current affairs that you have been following or anyone is supposed to follow for this examination. So it was in news, right? You will find the answer to this question, at least to a considerable degree, in a particular book, specifically mentioned, that is India's Struggle for Independence, Bipin Chandra, chapters 34 and 35, specifically talk about, chapter 35 talks about the INA. What is the INA? Yes, and chapter 34 specifically talks about the schism between Mahatma Gandhi and Subhash Chandra Bose. Both great figures, great personalities, both the aim was to see a free India, right? But there were differences, and you have to highlight those differences. So you have to categorize it clearly, right? Because again, this is a question on which everyone would think that I know something or the other. At least I can complete this answer. But if you could be specific about it, that there were differences in policy and tactics, because at Tripuri, Subhash Bose was specifically talking about having a policy, right? Fighting the presidential election based on a concrete policy. Differing perception of political reality, differing assessments of strengths and weaknesses of the Congress and preparedness of the masses, wherein Subhash Chandra Bose thought that this is the time to strike, right, and to move with a firm action, and Gandhiji thought that this is not the right time, masses are not prepared, Congress is not prepared, right? Differing style on how to build a mass movement, but again, both these personalities had great respect for each other. So Mahatma Gandhi referred to Bose as the prince among the patriots, and in the INA phase, when Bose in his radio address asked for the blessings of whom he referred to as father of the nation, he referred to Mahatma Gandhi as father of the nation. So both these personalities had great respect for each other. The aim was same, the end goal was same, but the tactics, the policy, the timing, there were differences, right? And if you're reading the newspaper, this is one of the headlines from a news article in which Sugata Bose, who is the grandnephew of Netaji, said that India today needs the legacy of both Bose and Mahatma. So historical figures should not be seen as antagonistic to each other, but rather engaged in a meaningful debate and discourse, and the differences has to be underlined therein. Now, shall we move on to the next question? It was the question number 7, yes. Any of the basic books that you are reading, people swear by Bipin Chandra. Some people now want to read Placido Partition. You will find mention of these gentlemen and ladies, right, in spread out across the book. So you need to identify the specific contribution, the specific ideas of these personalities, right, in order to be concrete. And collate that information if you are making a notes, right? And then keep an eye on the newspaper which you are already doing for your preparation for general studies. And if any one of them is in news, pay specific attention to them, right? So you don't need to have a separate strategy for that. For saving time, you can keep this in mind, keep this in tab, that you have to at least recognize 3, 4, 5 concrete contributions, ideas, years or sessions related to particular political personalities. And you will find it in any of the standard books that you are following. You don't need to go beyond what you are reading or what has been prescribed, the standard sources as we call them. So this question, it was sort of an outlier. How many of you, when you saw the question paper, were comfortable with this question? So you fairly represent the trend, what other people were feeling about this. They fairly found this question, most of the people found this question as an outlier, right? Why? Because of the region in question. If people are reading Africa, they mostly concentrate on Southern Africa because of apartheid and South Africa and Mahatma Gandhi's association with that, or Eastern Africa, right? Because of age-old cultural ties, trade, and also the number of Indians who went on and settled there, right? And because of British colonialism. So why West Africa? If I may briefly mention, if you are following the newspaper, the president visited West Africa. So can we say that was a motivation for framing this answer? That would be a long shot. But again, you got some sort of a hint. President went to West Africa, so that was an occasion for at least looking into it. Where is West Africa? What are the countries? What is the history? Another thing, there was a lot of debate on NAM, right, this year. And one of the famous sons of West Africa is Kwame Nkrumah. And it should ring a bell in your mind, because whenever we talk about non-aligned movement, we have the figures of Nehru, Nasser, Joseph Brest, Tito, Sukarno, and Nkrumah, right? But if you are also paying attention to the syllabus, it is world history. The region is Africa, West Africa into that, and the issue is colonization and decolonization. So if you are reading colonization, decolonization specifically, just mentally map it in what particular areas this particular process was going on, the colonized areas of the world, and what was the process, at least the names of a few leaders and a few countries. And if you remembered, if any of you remembered names of a few leaders and few countries, answering this question would have been easy. So it is asking you to examine the leadership role played by the new elite, Western educated elite, right? Again, nature is fundamental. You will find it in the books. Difficulty level, it is difficult. Again, because it was considered an outlier, and you would not get the complete answer in any of the books. You have to apply your mind. But where exactly, if at all, you are going to find it? In the old NCERT, The Story of Civilization by Arjun Dev, Mastering Modern World History by Norman Lowe, and if you are web savvy, you want to know more, you can refer to the Britannica Encyclopedia, right? But I assure you, if you were reading Norman Lowe, you would find some of the basics to answer this particular question. Now let's quickly see where West Africa is, right? Today's West Africa, so some of the countries that you could remember, right? Use maps, have a regional outlook as far as studying world history is concerned, break it down into particular regions. So covering it would be important. So now what exactly you should have at least mentioned in the answer? You should have mentioned about Gold Coast, Ghana, right? Kwame Nkrumah, he was educated in London and USA, his party was CPP, right? When did Ghana got independence? One of the first African countries to get independence and inspire a lot of other countries, other movements, right, to get independence. 1956, Ghana got independence, right? 56, 57. Secondly, Nigeria, again, a country colonized by the Britishers. Ghana, Gold Coast, also a country colonized by the Britishers. You can see Nnamdi Azikiwe, educated in USA, formed the National Council for Nigeria and the Cameroons, right? And you have Guinea under the leadership of Sekou Toure. His party's name was PDG, right? And the important ideas were Pan-Africanism, and there is this Manchester Pan-African Conference which took place in 1945, in which Nkrumah played an important role, George Padmore played an important role, a West Indian by origin, very active in the Pan-African movement, right? So what happened? If you see, West Africa was colonized by various European colonial powers, starting from Portugal, right? Why is it important? For the slave trade, right? It was an important outpost for the slave trade. Then Britishers and French were interested, so British West Africa and French West Africa. I have already told you, Gold Coast and Ghana under the British rule, and Nigeria again under the British rule, Guinea under the rule of the French. Initially, the resistance against these powers were by the local empires such as the Ashanti Empire, which was in Ghana, right? And the old Malian Empire. So traditional resistance from the traditional elite. But coming to the 20th century, when the Britishers are fighting the World War, the myth of their supremacy is broken. Many of the young people from these countries are getting education in the metropolitan centers of these colonial powers such as Paris and in London and in other parts of the West, as I have mentioned, USA also. So they are also acquiring the ideas prevalent in the political milieu in these countries, right? So if someone is getting educated in French, so he is well accustomed with the idea of fraternity, equality, right? And coming back, these people then became the backbone of what is known as the anti-colonial movement in these particular countries, right? So you have the examples, you can find other examples. Interesting fact, since you are examining, you also need to look at disparate facts, not only the truth in the statement, but also were there any other examples. So Sekou Toure in Guinea belongs to a traditional family, which in the 19th century, his grandfather actually in the 19th century fought against the French. Sekou Toure went to a French school in Guinea, but was not Western educated, did not complete his education, yet he became the leader of anti-colonial movement in his own country, right? So it is not only the Western educated elite who came from outside, but also people such as Sekou Toure who were not Western educated, they became the backbone of anti-colonial movement in their own particular countries, right? So if you could have mentioned these in your answers, it would have been a good enough answer. You can find all this information in Normal Love, right? And you can find more about West Africa in the NCERT, as I mentioned, by Arjun Dev, Story of Civilization. So that's the end of it. What should you do? Again, as the message says, thank you, but for yourself, stay informed, read the newspapers, identify the trend, right? And stay interested. Know at least something about fundamentals about the things that are coming in the newspaper. A few names, few geographical locations, right? And follow the standard sources, because it is pretty much covering this syllabus for history, Indian history as well as world history. So thank you very much for coming, and all the best.